I do not know that we're going to have another subcommittee meeting to consider those, so we're going to go ahead and consider them in full committee. And if I'm not mistaken, all the authors that we want to hear from are tied up in Senate rules, so we're going to sort of wing it on that, and we will start with Senate Bill 82, and we've got Senator Wilkinson, who's the author of the bill, and Chairman Rice, who is going to present it on the House side. So we do have some folks here. Senator, if you would like to present your bill. Did they steal your microphone?
I'll try to.
How about,
I can get it.
yeah, there's an extra one over there. Wait just a minute. Jeremy will bring it to you. No, you're fine. There's one asked that rate be set at 25%, the other asked that they reform stuff so that they don't. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, first of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to be here today and to present Senate Bill 82. Today I'll be, if you want to look at the LC number today, I'll be working off of LC 344671S. This bill attempts to correct a flaw in the distribution process for the IRP vehicles, the big trucks that run on the interstate highways. HB 463 in 2013 changed the process. We went from a process of where ad valorem taxes were collected on the trucks in the counties where they were based to the process where we just took all the tax digest in the states and we took the percentage, how big the percentage of the total tax digest in the state they were. So if it was a very small county with a very small tax digest, they received a very small amount of money, and vice versa with the larger counties and some of the smaller counties all across the state stood to take a real hit. So what this bill has done is gone from to a model that has to do with the number of trucks that are in each county. It goes to an industry strength model as opposed to a model that is tied to the size of the tax digest in the county. When the House bill changed the manner in which the tax was collected, in the past, just roughly, there was about $9 million collected through counties on ad valorem taxes, and with the new method of taxation on the IRP, there was about $6 million in additional funds collected, and that was supposed to be a windfall for all the counties. What this bill does is set a threshold. It takes that original amount of money and it ensures in the beginning that every county gets at least as much as they received on their tax digest in 2013. Then it takes the additional $6 million that have been generated and it assigns it with an industry strength model with the number of the trucks that are in each county, and it phases that in to that industry strength model over a period of 5 years. We have done this bill working with ACCG and GMA. They are both supportive. We work with the Department of Revenue, and we have representatives here today from the Department of Revenue and GMA, and I believe ACCG also. So, Mr. Chairman, if there are any questions, I'd be glad to attempt to answer them at this time.
Are there any questions? I don't, well, I do see one. Representative Williamson.
Thank you, Senator, but we've had some sidebar conversations on this issue, but in all fairness to the matter at hand, is it not true that counties like Walton County, which I have the privilege of representing, are taking a little bit too big a bite of the apple just based on our tax digest, because we're blessed to have so many great industries and people living there. We've got a much larger tax base. And is it not true that a small county like represented by Representative Penny Houston might have a larger trucking company located in her much smaller county with a much smaller tax digest, and they be unfairly participating in the tax revenues that should otherwise be due them absent this legislation? Is that not true?
That's true. Thank you.
And your testimony is this bill fixes those inequities.
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions? What's the pleasure of the committee? Oh, wait a minute. Before we do that, let me mention one thing. Added to this bill is one that originally had been authored by Trey Kelly. It had been hung up in rules because of some issues about whether we had been too broad in our language about what the Department of Revenue could deduct from the unclaimed property sales, and that's starting in line 103 to the end. And so we have added that to this bill and have also restricted it to what you see in lines 127 and 128 as far as just limiting it to the direct administrative expenses and as a result of the sale that they can deduct from those proceeds. No, it's actually in, it's right. It's in the bill. Are there any questions about that? Yes, sir.
I'll pass them. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions about that? All right, I'll entertain a motion. All right, a motion do pass, and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes on to rules.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
Senate Bill 122. Representative Rutledge, from your seat, and you are at what, 11? Okay, if you'd present 122, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a Senate bill that actually just clarifies some of the SPLOST projects that can be done on a county level, and it incorporated my House Bill 120 into this language, which would allow governments now, local governments can add SPLOST projects that are state-owned buildings and facilities. However, they're having to go through a lot of hoops to do that, and this bill will actually ease that process and allow them to do it much easier, and that's what this bill does.
Okay, questions for the author? All right, let me point out to y'all, starting in line 73, subsection L, this is the original language of the Senate bill. This is Senator Jeff Mullis's bill, 73 through 75, and lines 76 and 77 are Representative Rutledge's language that was in his bill. And the only thing I think that's important that we need to be aware of is that SPLOST has always been limited to capital projects. And so the Senate version of this in line 73 makes an exception to that for repairs and maintenance, but it limits it to the narrow situation where the repairs are necessitated by a natural disaster. But we need to be aware that could be a slippery slope, and if we're going to do it, we need to make sure that it's very narrowly tailored so it doesn't go any further than that. But anyway, with that, I will open it up to the committee for discussion. What's the pleasure? There's a motion and a second, do pass. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes on to rules. All right, House Resolution 600. And since Representative Kelly is not here, I'm going to ask Representative Peake if he will to present that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. House Resolution 600 by Representative Trey Kelly is an urging resolution urging Congress to enact tax reform that would provide a simpler and flatter and fairer and less uncomplicated tax system. The other resolution is similar to it but different, but this one is more simply just encouraging Congress to uncomplicate the tax code.
Okay. Are there questions? All in favor? Oh, excuse me. What's the pleasure of the committee? All right, there's a motion to pass. Is there a second? Motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, House Resolution 686.
686 is one that's very similar, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, but this is to enact tax reform to get a little more specific that sets the business tax rate, urging Congress to set the business tax rate at a flat 25%, hoping to also have a fair tax code through this effort.
Any questions?
Does he have a resolution for state tax?
Representative Carson's out of order. What's the pleasure of the committee?
Move to pass.
Is there a second? All right, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? There's no other business. We are adjourned.